In this demonstration of Vast Commerce, I'm going to open up an existing work order. Marty Klosterman in the 2005 Dodge Magnum. From the work order screen, I simply highlight the part number field and right-click, and I now see an option called AutoCAD. From AutoCAD, I have a flyout menu where I can open up V-Item Broker. From V-Item Broker, when I select that, I have several different part categories down the left-hand side of the screen here, and each part category has a different list of parts groups. The nice thing about Vast Commerce is that now I have the ability to select multiple part groups at the same time to look up parts and labor for. Previously, you had to select one part group at a time. You'd have to look up your belts and then go back to the catalog and look up hoses, etc. Here, if I want to select multiple part groups at the same time, I can simply click and drag with my mouse to highlight 3 categories or more. Once they're highlighted, I simply click on the Parts button at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Clearly, I don't stock in my local inventory any belts, hoses, or water pumps. So in local inventory, it's got a green minus sign. For this demonstration, I'm just going to select AutoZone, and it'll come up and it'll show me the cost and availability of all 3 different part types from AutoZone. So it has returned results for the hoses, the belts, and the water pump. In this instance, I'm just simply going to select the water pump, and I'm going to select the accessory drive belt, and I will select the upper and lower hose. So here's my lower coolant hose and my upper coolant hose. Now that I've selected all 4 part types, I have the ability, I could post these 4 parts to the estimate, or better yet, in the upper left-hand corner of my screen where I see a tab called Labor, if I click on that, the system has retained the fact that I had looked up parts for water pump, hoses, and belt. If I double-click on water pump, it shows me the labor time for that particular year, make, and model vehicle. Again, there are some qualifiers here where we're going to make sure that we have selected the appropriate labor time. I'll select the water pump labor here at 2.1 hours. Then I can double-click on coolant hose, and I will select the upper and the lower coolant hose labor times. And lastly, for the serpentine belt, if I double click on that, it shows me drive belt R&R at 0.3 hours. Simply put a check mark on that, and at this point I've selected 4 parts, 3 different labor operations, and I can post these to the estimate. As you can see, it automatically transferred over the drive belt, the lower radiator hose, the engine water pump, and the upper radiator hose, all based on cost and availability. Then it brought over my different labor operations for the water pump, the upper and lower hose, and the accessory drive belt. It brought them over based on the appropriate labor operations, the appropriate labor class, and we can see on the right-hand side where it shows SRV, or Service Writer Comments, we see that this was the time for the water pump, this was the time for the upper hose, the lower hose, and the drive belt.